Ronin Kaze. This is take 7. It's been a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. But not this video. This video, we're going to load openSUSE Tumbleweed. I'm making a virtual machine that you're going to see right now. I got your Fallout 76 in a little window right below my picture, which isn't there right now, but it will be there when I'm done doing this video. Going to kind of tell you how we got here. We got here because I had a ASUS Flow X16 that ended up having some problems. I installed Ubuntu on it just to see if it would fix the problems. It didn't. It had serious hardware problems. So I needed to play games still. I had a Windows 11 computer, but then I was like, I should get off of this Windows 11. I had a couple other computers that were Windows 10 that would never allowed to be upgraded legally by Microsoft. So I had some resources that were just going to be not able to use. So I also have a Lenovo Legion Go handheld PC. So KachyOS fit all those bills. So I installed it on everything. Everything was working great. Then I didn't know. I knew Linux Mint I had used before. I'd used Ubuntu the most because Ubuntu just always worked, right? It was easy. But Ubuntu has a kind of, the Linux people might not admit this, but there's a little cachet to have what distribution you have. YouTube, I'm sorry that's that. But it is. And if you're going to be with the cool kids, that's just part of it. Unless you get detention, like that movie. Anyways, YouTube. So I ended up putting that on there. I had a hard time auto-mounting my external hard drive, which for games I needed Steam to recognize it. If you flat pack it, the flat pack didn't recognize it. So I went through all these iterations, finally got KachyOS to work with that. But during that time, I had to went to Nabara, which is a Fedora-based gaming, and Bazite, which is another Fedora-based, but it's immutable. So I've learned all this stuff on my journey, so you don't have to. But you can. So I eventually got it to work. I used the terminal, and everything was rolling. So what I realized is, everyone should get off Windows 10 and you should get on to Linux. In the OS market space, Android's number 1, iOS is number 2, just because they're small devices, right? It's obvious. Windows is number 3. In the Windows world, at one point, Windows 10 and Windows 11 were like 30% of the marketplace, maybe. They might be 15% each now. I think Windows 11 recently in the last couple of years, overtook Windows 10. There's still a lot of Windows 10 users. So that's the target segment. Of course, if you have Windows 11, you should get over. Who shouldn't move over? If you're a gamer, first-person shooter, and the game has copyright or anti-cheat stuff, it's not going to work in Linux because it's an extra kind of layer that needs to be emulated. So what should you do? Always back up your files. Your files are going to be very small because your receipts, spreadsheets, Word documents, resumes, are not that big of a stuff. Number 2, you pick a distribution. The number 1 thing is what desktop manager you're going to use, or window manager. I use KDE because it's very customizable. In this video, you're going to see once it loads, I use KDE, and I automatically, whenever I load KDE now, I do like my first 3 things that I do. Most of the software that you need is going to be on there. Your browser is going to be on there. It doesn't have Chrome. It has one called Chromium. It's based off of like the source code for that. It has Firefox. Just about everything. Brave. Some other stuff. Those are really the only 3 that I mess around with. I use OBS Studio to record my gameplay. So that's on there. VLC, which is a media player that's on there. I have YouTube TV, so either in Firefox or Brave or Chromium, when I try to run it from Linux, it says, ooh, I got to download the codecs. Downloads codecs, that all works. This wasn't always the experience. but it is now. So it's ready for you. CachyOS is ready for you to game and live your life. So why isn't everyone using it? Well, it's based off of Arch, which is Arch Linux, and there's one called Gene2. They're both rolling releases, and that's what this openSUSE Tumbleweed is. It's a rolling release. Why do people not like rolling releases? Well, their experience with these other two operating systems was less than, and sometimes things would break, which is a little bit different in CachyOS and Tumbleweed. And when I went on Tumbleweed and was doing some research, because I was trying to find a bigger organization that has distributions, because the other thing on these distributions, you might have a niche distribution that you like, but is it going to be supported? Is it going to be updated? So openSUSE is a little bit bigger distribution. You have Debian, which is a bigger distribution. You have Red Hat, which is a bigger distribution. Arch, I would say, is a bigger distribution. Those are going to be around. So openSUSE was like the first kind of rolling release one that looked like it was going to work. So I got that. I'm also in Fallout 76 in that smaller window right there. And I didn't realize in Fallout 76 that I had played it so much that I had earned like in-game currency that I could take a character automatically and get him to level 50. So that's what I did. So I deleted one of my characters. Parting is such sweet sorrow character. Never see again. Destiny. Horrible name, but so I got a new character, level 50, and I'm enjoying that. So that's kind of how we got here. I'm into rolling releases. Why wouldn't you want and openSUSE had really good marketing for that. Why wouldn't you want the latest versions? Why wouldn't you want up-to-date releases? Why wouldn't you want, right? What I do every morning, I showed you in my last video, I updated one of my laptops I hadn't updated for like a month. Updated, works fine. Clicked it, works fine. And that's what I do every morning. I check for any updates, do it, and I'm done with it. Some updates are significant enough that it says, hey, you might want to restart. And I restart it. I have a relatively fast computer. The other thing I do is, now that I'm in this Linux space, there's a lot of people that will negatively sell you, or they're negative about Linux. They're proponents for Linux, but they can't help themselves that they make technical barriers that a person coming from Windows and be like, man, that seems pretty hard. It's not hard at all. You know how to do everything. It's all based on technology that was by Palo Alto Research Center, Park, in the 80s, about using the mouse and the interface. And even though the interfaces in between a Mac and Windows and Linux might be slightly different, Alt-F-O opens a file, right? Wasn't that way in DOS. DOS does everything. I've shown you that the Office things, I did a comparison with Offices if you have to do that. I said maybe you could do Office in a terminal. If you know VIM, that would work, but eventually I just installed DOSBox, and I have an old DOS program called Tornado Notes that I really enjoyed when I had DOS, and that's kind of what I use. So I loaded that, and I'm happy about that. Tumbleweed's still installing. I think it's doing the hard drive right now. I think, not sure. So I understand when people that make videos about distributions talk about rolling releases, they're kind of worried. They always say these caveats. Technical people, that's Roxy who's talking to the technical people right now. Technical people don't want to be on the hook if you decide to do what they recommended. They don't want to hear the heat like, hey, I loaded CachyOS and it wasn't as great of an experience. Right, your mileage may vary, and I don't know all your particular stuff, but I'm pretty sure if you did the minimum stuff, it would work great for you, because it's worked great for me. Never any problems. Excuse me. It's had problems, but I didn't know enough. And that's one of the things that Linux, so a lot of these people talk about Linux and switching and all this other stuff. the reasons they give are all just wrong. You may have heard Linux is for technical users. It is. Computers are for technical people, right? You have to be somewhat technical to use a computer, to use a phone. I sold health insurance to seniors, and a lot of them didn't know how to use it. Can you put an icon, how to get to your number on my home screen on my phone so I can call you? Yes, I can do that. So, okay, now it's rebooting. So there's going to be some technical aspect to everything. It's going to be different, and it's okay. If you're coming from Windows 10, you go to Windows 11 in the afternoon, learn something new. If you're going from Windows 10 to Mac, you're going to have to learn something new. You're going to always have to learn something new. What's the number one reason why I like CachyOS? If you're a gamer, there's a button you hit, it loads Steam, Lutris, and other stuff to make the gaming work. The games just work all the time. Other distributions, you have to find Steam and load it, and I've sometimes not had the best experience doing that. If you play games, you want a gaming distro. And I'd go with Cachy, because you can use whatever window manager you want. They don't care. All right, so I'm restarting the virtual machine after I've loaded it. And there we go. Virtual machine has I think I have 8 processors and about 12 gigabytes to do it. Normally, I'll load Steam on one of these and then play an old DOS game or old Windows 3 game on there, and it works just fine. I don't think in virtual machine it has enough horsepower to play, modern games, but you can do a proof of concept if you like those kind of games. So it's going to boot up here in a second. That's the first screen that you go to. So I'm making it bigger, and you can see on the bottom it looks like Windows, right? The controls, the window bar is along the bottom. So number one, the first thing I'm going to change that. I'm going to right click on that, and this is where KDE comes in. And so there should be no barriers stopping you from switching to Linux. You don't have to use CachyOS. If you play games, it's probably the easiest. Here, Roxy agrees with me. Roxy, do you think Cachy is the best? Of course she does. Or she'll get no food, you too. She'll get food, sorry. Okay. So rolling release, what the benefit it gives you, your software is always up to date. Now, what's the reason? Why did I do this specific video? It's because I'm researching Tumbleweed, I'm researching this stuff, and I have one guy telling me why you shouldn't get a rolling release, and everything he's saying, why I should get it. And then number two, when I go on Tumbleweed and look up their marketing stuff, they have 8 points why you should have a rolling release. If you're an organization and you have a rolling release, why would you make a release that you don't think you should have? No, they give you the reasons why you should use their rolling release. Same reason why you should use CachyOS. Arc doesn't do CachyOS. It's a group of people develop it. So I went to their thing, looked at all their developers. They have a bunch of people. I'm sure they come in and out of the project and do different things. But if you're a gamer and you've made a Linux distro and you game on the Linux distro, you have some kind of thing where you're going to want it to be successful. So that's one of the things that's going on. Why don't you just pick any distro? If they're so small, who knows if they're going to be supported all the time. So that's why some people will recommend Linux Mint, because it has enough support. They value stability, right? So if Ubuntu is super stable because you're going to sell it to a business, Linux Mint might not be as stable as Ubuntu, but it's going to give you more stuff for gaming and do more kind of things. So it's kind of an intermediate kind of package. And so when people are explaining about rolling release, they're thinking about there's 2 distros, Arch and Gentoo, that are really, people might not have had optimal experiences. But those are 2 distros that they're made for people that want more advanced and to customize every little thing. Just not for me. I've given you the analogy that Linux is like the road. Windows is like the road. Apple is, Mac OS is like the road. It's what you drive on. The apps are what you use. That's the cars that are driving on the road. Right? You only think about the road when it has a pothole. But other than that, you're just driving. So, okay, so now I'm in there. I'm trying to update it now or add software, but I changed the wallpaper to have a tumbleweed on it. YouTube, look at me being all sweet. And I've made a custom wallpaper. You can see that behind the CachyOS. I did some horses, did some artwork on it, and then I made that my, you can see down there in the lower right. Try to use their colors. It's whatever. It's okay. And you still got Fallout 76 with my max level player that now I'm leveling up even more. So a rolling release, I think it's really the best way to go. I didn't like Bazite. I really didn't like the immutable part of it. I thought in theory I did. It's like an Xbox, so it's just updated once a year or whenever, and then it just works that whole time. But it's not always like that. And I'm going on YouTube, my channel on YouTube. So this is a way you could try out Linux on your system. You could get VM, virtual machine, and then you could run distros on it. Linux also has a live. You can put in a live USB. There's ways to create it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I think I've told you a couple times how to do it, but really, you should make the switch, dedicate some time. In about a month, you'd never even think about Linux again. You won't say, oh, I'm in Linux. You might at first. Nerd. But after a while, you're not. You're just going to use it. It's just going to work. So there's some criteria you got to think about. There's some prerequisites that you should do. But then you should change it up. I'm rebooting it one more time. So, at the end of the day, do you have to do what Ronin Kaze does? Absolutely not. Do you have to get off Windows 10? Absolutely. You have a lot of choices to do there. You can buy new hardware and get a Mac Mini. Those are great items. You're going to have to learn a new operating system. Part of the reason if you're on Windows 10 and you can't go to Windows 11, guess what that means, YouTube? Let me show you that this is fake. So the volume's not going to get any louder, right? That means that your hardware is shitty. Don't you deserve new hardware? Maybe you can't afford it. Maybe get new hardware and you get a Windows on that. But what I'm going to tell you is this. Your Bluetooth, what level is your Bluetooth at? What level is your Wi-Fi at? And there's some foreshadowing that, computers might be more expensive. You want to get here's what I'm going to tell you. You want at least 2 terabytes of like an NVMe, or at least 1 at a minimum, and as much RAM as you can afford. I give you one last piece of advice. This is like an AI chip from AMD. And really what those chips, they used to call the APU chip. So it has a dedicated graphics chip on it, and it shares the memory. It's super fast now. So I have like a 780 version. The newest AMD AI chips have it's like an 860 or an 870. Those fly, but they share the memory. So I have 64 gigabytes of RAM, and I give 16 gig to the video card and 48 to RAM. And on my virtual machines, I give you 12 gigabytes. And YouTube, we're done. Ta-da! Ronin Kaze, ta-da! We're out.